How does key square control restrict the opponent's play? Have you ever wondered how controlling certain squares on the chessboard can limit your opponent's options? Let's break down the concept of key square control and its impact on the game. In chess, a key square is a critical position that can greatly influence the outcome of a match. When a player's king occupies a key square, it can lead to advantages like promoting a pawn or capturing an opponent's piece. This idea is especially important in endgames, particularly those involving kings and pawns. Key squares are determined by the placement of pawns and kings on the board. If a player's king can reach a key square, they often can force a favorable situation. For example, in a king and pawn versus king endgame, controlling key squares is vital for promoting pawns and achieving victory. Now, how does controlling these key squares restrict an opponent's play? First, it limits their pawn movement. When a player controls key squares, they can prevent their opponent from advancing pawns, which is essential for creating threats and gaining space on the board. Second, it restricts the movement of the opponent's king. If key squares are under control, the opponent's king may struggle to reach certain areas of the board. This limitation can hinder their ability to support their pawns or attack weak points in your position. Third, controlling key squares can create strategic imbalances. By occupying these squares, a player can launch attacks or support their own pawn advances while simultaneously hindering the opponent's plans. This creates a dynamic where the player in control can dictate the flow of the game. In practice, players can achieve key square control by positioning strong pieces on these squares to maximize their influence. It is also important to ensure these squares are well defended to maintain control over them. Additionally, using tactics to challenge the opponent's pieces that might contest these squares can further solidify control. If you find yourself facing an opponent who has control over key squares, there are ways to counter this strategy. One effective method is to exchange pieces to reduce their influence over these squares. Another approach is to look for tactical opportunities that arise from their focus on maintaining control, which can create weaknesses elsewhere on the board. By understanding key square control and its implications, players can effectively restrict their opponent's play. This knowledge allows for better strategic decisions and can lead to significant advantages in chess. So next time you play, keep an eye on those key squares and use them to your benefit.